This part that we're going to be talking about now is action planning. And this is really one of my favorite parts in the whole master planning model. Groups love to come up with ideas. They could spend all day generating ideas. Making the decisions, whether those key deliverables, whether those areas of focus that we should be spending our time on, very important. Groups can even do that well. Where frequently the ball is dropped is on the action side. What are the tasks? What's the accountability? What's the time frame? So with an action plan, what you want to do is you have the concept board. Focus on the concept. These are the decisions we've made on the topic we've just been working. You need to figure out how to take it. Right now it's just cards with ink on it, and figure out how to implement it, kick it into action. So that's the action plan. And what we have here are tasks, who will do it, and deadline. In the book we share 4 different options for doing action plan. The first one is really the easiest. It should meet the criteria of, can you assign it to somebody, can you put a cost to it, and can you develop some kind of prototype. If it meets all of that criteria and you have the implementation team, the easiest thing to do is to take that card. This is the idea that we've made the decision on. Put a name and a deadline. I'm willing to take this one on, and here's the deadline. Say we meet weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, whatever it is. I will have something done. I'm committing to the group that I will have something done by this date. And you just go through and you do a card like this and put it next to each of the top ideas that you've made a decision on. Quick, simple, easy. It's, again, well spun, well developed, well churned cards that start with an action verb up front. Develop, build, get, buy, etc. That's option 1. Action plan option 2 is if you have the implementation team sitting around the table and you want to develop more, this would be more micro than it would be macro. What you can do is you can code each of the ideas. And we're going to say that this is number 1. You could come back to your tasks, put it up here, and anything that falls down there would be tasks that correspond to that idea right there. You would drop down the 2, again code it, could be A1, A2, put it down here. So when looking at this, the first 3 tasks go with the first top idea, second 2 tasks go with the second idea. Again, you're looking at key next steps to take that idea and kick it into action. You don't need all 20, 30, 40 steps that, you don't need to tell somebody how to do their job, but you want to get their commitments from them, what they're saying they will do. So what you want to do is you want to work the task column down, get everything identified. And then you come over to the who will do it and the deadline. And then you could simply, if you have the implementation team sitting around the table, say who's willing to do the first task. And then usually somebody will raise their hand and you pass them the card and say, will you print your name on a card and a deadline, and we'll put it up there. And this is their commitment. They're saying that to the group that I will be accountable, I will have something done, and the something done is the expected result. This is the deliverable of the task. I'm willing to take this task on, I'm doing it, this is the deadline I'm committing to, and this is what I'm saying I will have done for the group. It really takes this and basically punches it up, gives it a lot more specificity. So option 2 is going back and forth. Another way of doing this, again with the implementation team, and this is a way that you can really pick up a lot of time, you can subdivide. Say you're working with a group of, say, 12. You can have 2 people take on the first one, 2 take on the second, etc. However you subdivide, instead of working with a big group, just assign the top ideas and then have them come back with the tasks, maybe a who proposed deadline, expected results. Frequently when you do this, the different top ideas might fall into somebody's area of responsibility, but not all the time. So that's option 2. Option 3 is actually what we have up here on the board. If you look at this board as one deliverable, just basically one box of ideas, instead of dissecting each of them, you could say there are some key things that we need to do to take this and get it into action. And you could just see here's 5 or 6 ideas that they came up with. Again, working tasks down, and then the who deadline and the expected results. And then the last one, option 4, is similar to the first one in that this is for a team that meets on a set basis, say weekly. How our staff would meet. We would come up with the ideas, and then we would take the dots, either code them, or we would have different colored dots or stickers, and then we'd come over and say, okay, I have P for Pat on this one. I would take on, I'll say this one. Again, this would have my, whatever it is that I'm using. I would put the dots on the ones that I'm willing to take on. Jerry would have a J. He would take on some. Diane would have a D, Stephanie an S. Or we would ideally use different, maybe it's a star, smiley face sticker, what have you. Just different ways for a team that meets frequently, that's going to come back and revisit whatever the board that you've developed. So that's action plan option number 4. Again, if a group's going to meet, we really push groups that to at least end in an action plan. If you're going to get together and come up with ideas and even make decisions, but not commit it to some kind of action, then it's probably going to end up being wasted time. So you always want to try and end at least in an action plan.